Fucking hell, it's hot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when you're listening to this, but at the time of recording, it's a spicy one.
Yes, it is.
Very hot indeed.
It's got a different ice cream today.
Mate, it wouldn't be a podcast without an ice cream now. It's become one of those habits that I'm not willing to break because it means I get an ice cream.
No, that's fair enough. It's going to be funny come midwinter when it's freezing outside. You go
Yeah,
for
then
your
I might have to switch it up to a hot chocolate or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to run out of types of ice cream soon, aren't I?
Well, that's true. You have had a different one for the last 3 weeks, which is, oh my God, you bit that.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Do you not bite them?
No.
Oh.
The maniac bites ice.
Well, I don't know. What else do you do with it? If you suck it, it just lasts forever and melts down your hand.
That's what your tongue's for, is it not? Anyway, let's moving on. Trigger warning alert. Mushi's going to be biting ice for the next minute or so.
If that's the sort of thing that triggers you.
Yeah, isn't it just? Should we do an intro? Like, welcome to the Pacifist podcast, maybe?
Could do, can we? Yeah, welcome to the Pacifist podcast. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, share. Please get other people involved. The more the merrier, as they say.
Yeah.
Today we're doing mysteries, I believe. Myself and Sam have both picked a mystery that's very close to our own interests. I was going to say hearts, but I don't really care.
You only say that because of the title of mine.
I am looking forward to you explaining this, because if it's not what I think it is, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Well, it's a difficult one to explain because it's probably made up, but it's a cool story nonetheless. Yeah, I also wanted to give everyone a catch up on what's his name, Ham City, which is now changed his name to 10 Tapes.
Yes, yeah, we should.
Well, I've just caught up on all of his videos, and I mean, the guy is either really being fucked with or an incredible actor.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that in a bit. Should we? Should we have a go over what's been going on in the world the past week since we've last recorded? Yeah,
why not? So obviously, as we said in the last episode, unfortunate loss there at the footballs. Bad sports, and in true British fashion, we've showed ourselves up to be a bunch of racist fucking idiots, haven't we? It's that classic 0.001% of the population scream louder and scream racist things, and it upsets absolutely everybody. What the fuck is wrong with people?
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things, like when the football was going on and everyone was like, oh, this is it, they make us so proud, or this team, they're going to do Britain proud, they're going to do Britain proud. And I'm like, they possibly are, but give the fans a chance to make us the fucking make us the biggest laughing stock of the world. I am ashamed of the fucking way that the British, I'm roping everyone in here, myself included, not that I've done anything, but as a nation, we are very fucking sore losers. We don't know how to lose. I mean, straight away accusing the Italians of cheating, blah, blah, blah.
Well, did you see the game? Because I saw the game.
I did, and there was some dubious plays. But
they're a rough squad, aren't they?
I don't know if it's the gamer in me or anything like that, but I find it really embarrassing when people don't do well, or they don't do as well as they wanted to, and then straight away start cheats, you're cheating. You have to take a certain amount of accountability. Yes, it was a dodgy play. Does it affect the outcome of the game? Who knows? It's neither here nor there, because the result's been recorded. So by whining about how much they're cheating and all of this, it just makes us look stupid in my eyes.
I feel like so obviously I'm not a football fan. I'll watch the big important games, unity and being in with everybody and all of that. But like that Italian team were fucking vicious. I mean, it was great to watch because football's inevitably boring.
Oh God, yeah.
When I don't know who, I think it was the captain of Italy, grabbed someone by the shirt and like not clotheslined him, but it was like he lassoed him to the ground. I was like, is this what sports is always like? I mean,
But for me, I mean, I'm not a sportist. We've well established this now.
Oh yeah,
the last couple of years.
Me either.
For me, it's nice to see the players rolling around on the floor in pain for something, as opposed to just like, oh, he looked at me funny, he breathed in my ear. Whoa!
Well,
You know,
do you know what? I agree, but I thought this is what I was getting to, is that I think our team actually did really well in that respect. They weren't fannying about on the ground, screaming because somebody breathed in their ear. They got brutalised in a couple of places. That I saw. I mean, I say I watched it. I did, but I didn't really. I fell asleep between the penalties at the end. Shocking though it may be. Well, there's too much time in between them, and it was too late for me. So if we'd won that, I think our guys would have deserved to really, really hold their heads high, not just for winning, but for playing like a fairly clean and honest game.
Yeah.
Whereas I thought the other guys were, I don't watch a lot of football. I don't know if this is normal, but they were vicious.
Yeah.
But man, it's just so boring. You watch 90 minutes and then another half an hour, and then they start kicking balls at the goal. I'm just like, bring on multi-ball. I say, chuck an extra ball on every minute in that last half of that extra half an hour.
Yeah. Fucking properly ramp it up. Like, what we should do is we should ask the Japanese for advice on how to spice up football, because they would have it locked down within minutes.
Yes, they would.
It's
Pits
like
would open, filled with water.
We're not playing on grass. We're playing on a giant tarpaulin. And after 80 minutes, it gets like washing up liquid gets squirted all over it. Yeah, that sort of thing. Throw in like one of the balls is made of metal. The rest of them are made of something else.
Just a horn goes off and 22 balls fall from the sky, one of which is filled with lead. And there's just a constant showering of just baby oil from the sky.
I'd watch that.
I would
every day.
In a heartbeat. I mean, it would probably need a new name, but I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
But either way, those
got
fucking
the game,
morons.
We've lost, and then you've got all of these fucking proper beta males that don't have the intelligence to handle their emotions. Straight away, just they fucked it up because they're black. I mean,
it's so annoying. It's the worst excuse for anything.
I can't actually comprehend how you make that jump. Because their skin's a different color, they couldn't take a penalty. Where did you get this from? How fucking stupid do you have to be to think that, let alone vocalize it to other people, let alone vocalize it to them on Twitter and social media?
They're getting all the hate, the three black chaps who had their goals saved or their penalties saved.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was a white guy who kicked the ball and it just went over the net. Now, I'm not an expert, but I would presume that if you're playing for the England team, you should be able to kick it roughly in where the goal goes. I mean, I probably would miss.
Yeah, for sure. I'd probably miss the ball, let alone the goal.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds accurate, if I'm honest. But yeah, they're giving those guys shit because they kicked it in the target and it got saved when there's a man in there trying to save it. But the guy who kicked it and it missed the target altogether, they're just like, it's all right. He's got the right colour skin. What the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, surely decent sportsmanship would be to congratulate the goalie on some good saves. Because that is a terrifying position to be in. You're the one that has to stop a professional footballer getting a ball in a goal. Fuck that for a start. With the world watching, actually. Fuck that even more.
Oh God, I'd have shit myself.
So as much as you don't like the fact that he saved it, the fact that he saved it deserves congratulations, regardless of what team you're on. Yeah. You don't blame the player who's kicked the ball towards the goal because his skin color is different to yours. You think that's the reason that the other goalie saved it.
Fucking nonsense. They're an embarrassment, mate.
They're just fucking morons. There's no other word for it. And to actually be able to say those words, it highlights a level of stupidity that to me is quite frankly frightening, that they share the same oxygen I do.
Oh God, isn't there? Well, a friend of mine raised an interesting point about it, that it's a very, very small percentage of people are racists. But obviously they shout the loudest and they get the most publicity. And I mean, but realistically, years ago, people were way more racist because they didn't know any better, did they? It's just what you're brought up with. Now, the only good thing to come from it is that it's brought it to the forefront, and everybody else's reactions are just like, well, like us. Those guys are fucking idiots. It doesn't matter about the color of your skin. You played a good game. Well done.
Yeah.
I mean, so there is a silver lining on it. But God,
yeah.
every
To the point where
time.
even Boris Johnson, who is traditionally fairly racist, let's face it, he's come out with some fucking right clangers in the past.
What was his? He had a really good one. It was about people who wear hijabs. Is that right?
Oh, looking like letterboxes or something like that.
Letterboxes. That's it. You'd think I'd know that one. What with the trade that I'm in?
You would. But yeah, even he has had to come out on TV and denounce racism and denounce the behaviour of it. So, as far as the three footballers are concerned, I feel sorry for them and I feel bad that they have to put up with that sort of stupid shit. But they can hold their heads high and say they tried their best, and unwittingly, they've actually achieved a lot more for racism awareness than I believe Black Lives Matter did.
Oh God, Black Lives Matter was
they
really
went about it.
Tits.
They went about it so badly with all the riots and everything like that. In this occasion, you've got the Marcus Rashford memorial, or not memorial, because that suggests he's dead. Mural
tribute
thing, which got vandalized. Is now. I don't know if you've seen a photo of it, but it's just covered with messages of anti-racism and love for him and stuff like that. And I find that amazing.
I completely agree, but on a slightly side tangent, and I'm going to say something inappropriate just because I think it's really funny. The exact same day that happened, it seemed that George Floyd's tribute was taken down by God himself. Racist God. Lightning strike destroyed it. A lightning strike literally took down a whole fucking wall. Was it in Minnesota or Milwaukee or one of those countries in America?
Like that,
Absolutely crazy. It's like you've got the Rashford one, and it's beautiful. It's lovely how people have put so many tributes up saying these guys are fucking idiots, just ignore them. And then you've got George Floyd. It's like God's like, do you know what? Don't really want him as a poster child for a Black Lives Movement. He had a sketchy past.
Moody to say the least. I mean, the guy was a career criminal who's been just like, I don't know.
And porn star. Don't forget, he did a porno.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he did a porno. He also pointed a gun at a pregnant woman's belly. He did a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
Did he deserve to get choked to death by a racist copper kneeling on him? Definitely not.
No, I don't think anyone's suggesting that. But should we worship him as some sort of what's the word they use?
Deity?
No,
martyr.
Martyr. Yeah. Probably not. I think.
Yeah.
Let's do things not the nice way. Look, Marcus Rashford, he's not a criminal. He's
talented.
He earns more money than he probably should do, but everyone loves him. And his mural got defaced, and everyone's banded together and made it actually into quite a nice gesture, and I like that.
Yeah, and God's left it alone, which I mean,
so
God's
far,
got a
so
lot.
good.
He's got a lot to fucking answer for this week. Have you seen what's been going on in Germany?
Yeah, now that's fucking scary.
I know, right? Fucking mental.
For anyone that doesn't know, Germany has been hit with a lot of rain, which has caused massive flash floods right across the country.
Yeah.
It's not just Germany, it should be mentioned Switzerland, Belgium, Luxembourg, they've all been affected too. But Germany's certainly taken the brunt of it, or is certainly in the news the most at the moment.
They have. And I only mentioned Germany because I don't know if you could do a Danish or Luxembourgian impression, but I know you can do a good German one, which is why I brought that one up. But yeah, that aside, 180 people at the time of this recording have been dead from floods in not just like a Western world city, but one that's really ahead of the fucking game. I mean,
very civilized
Germany,
country,
again, ropey past, but they have fucking come through that in a beautiful way. I just can't believe it, Mushi. When I hear about flash floods happening, where I lived in America as a kid, we lived in like the boondocks. I mean, you could throw a stone and you were just out in the middle of the arse end of nowhere. Yeah. And flash floods were a genuine worry. That would happen. Tornadoes would happen. Not hurricanes, because we went by a coast. We were lovely and landlocked. But those two things, You saw evidence of them happening all the time. There were buildings ripped down, massive fissures opened up in roads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because of flash flooding. I don't think of that when I think of Germany, the center of fucking Europe, at all.
No, not at all. And it's frightening. I don't know if you've seen the footage, but there's literally whole towns have been just swept away. There's just
mental,
craters and you know, pieces of these towns just falling into the water. I saw a video of a firefighter just literally, you could see him coming down the road. The road was like a river. He was in the middle of it, just floating down the road. There was fuck all he could do. If it wasn't for the 3 guys that linked arms and waded out into this floodwater, very nearly getting swept away as well, this firefight would have been fucked.
Well, I mean, because the problem with flash floods is I've always been like, oh, how bad can a flash flood be? And then you realise that it's got fucking cars and lampposts and telephone poles and every other bit of, I've got to say flopsome and gypsum. Don't think that's right, but it's nice to say it once in a while. In the fucking water, just getting pulled along with it.
Is it appropriate for me to put out a bit of pointless nautical knowledge here?
Mushu, I think people live for your pointless nautical knowledge. Right. But as long as it starts along with as long as it starts with, so I was on my boat with Fajar.
Well, okay, I was on my boat with Fajar. I was going to tell you what the difference between flotsam and jetsam is.
Oh, do it.
Flotsam is naturally occurring stuff floating in the water.
So
jetsam is stuff that's been jettisoned off a boat or by humans into the water, like rubbish or man-made articles.
Well, in which case, then both of what I just said is applicable.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
So
there you go.
Thanks for correcting me to let me know that I am correct.
Oh no, I wasn't correcting you. I was merely pointing out a bit of knowledge. Yeah, but that's exactly it. You know, you think of it like, oh, if there was a flood, I'd just take my canoe out. What you don't appreciate is the fact that you might be hit by a bus going at like 80 miles an hour, caught up in floodwaters.
Oh man,
good luck if you do. And you know that will take out a building. Those parts of the building will then add to the floodwaters. I don't know if you've ever seen the end parts of a flash flood, when a lot of the water subsided and it's literally just a rolling sort of ball of silt and shit. It's pretty much solid, just moving along, and it's frightening.
It looks like a beaver dam, doesn't it? It's just like mud, silt, twigs, people, cats and dogs. So 180 people have died in Germany. I'm kind of interested how many fucking pets have died.
Well,
like a morbid. Well, I suppose it is a morbid way, but like, for instance, cats are survivors. They'll be up a fucking tree, and the second a bit of water gets on them, they're like, "Fuck this."
Yeah.
But what about dogs? Dogs are notoriously loyal, aren't they? They'll stick with their people.
Yeah.
I imagine the pet death toll was.
I would imagine a lot of dogs would actually jump in, trying to save their humans.
Yeah.
It's quite well documented.
I've seen there's videos floating around on that ticking tock app. Can't help it. I'm proper hooked on that fucking thing. Of like a lady will get into their pool and pretend to be dead, and then you just see this dog fucking panic, just jump in there, grab her by the hair, and yank her out.
Is that the one where he pulls her out by the ponytail?
Yeah.
And she's like, and he's like, he's saving you.
Yeah. I'm helping you.
Fucking brilliant. I love it.
I'm not.
You're right.
I'm not a dog fan. Like I wouldn't want one as a pet. I love them. They're incredible animals. I just don't want one as a pet. But when I see shit like that, I'm like, I really do understand why people love their dogs so much.
But then not just dogs either. You've got livestock, you've got horses, you've got things like that which won't be able to they won't be able to get away from the floodwaters and stuff like that.
No.
You know,
Jesus Christ, imagine being a sheep when a flash flood comes. All that wool, it's going to get well heavy.
Well, yeah, you're fucked, aren't you? And hooves, not the best swimming apparatus, apparently.
No, but they are fucking good for cracking eggs, Mushu. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again? No?
Well, yeah, I mean, let's not go down that route, because I don't know if you've seen the Ricky Gervais thing, but he makes
I have. That's
it. Why the fuck would you send a load of horses to fix an egg?
Yeah. Hooves haven't come up in a while. I've been sitting on that for ages.
Yeah, so thoughts with the German people. You know, God bless you all. Hopefully, you...
don't God bless. God's fucking doing it, isn't he?
Oh yeah, and
He's
I'm not
smashing
religious
up
anyway,
walls
so
and
it doesn't really
flushing them.
mean anything. But
Yeah, neither am I.
yeah, if ever there was a time to band together and help each other out, now's it.
Yeah, fucking right. I've raised a glass to those fallen.
Yeah.
It's bad times.
And let's face it, if anyone can mobilize and achieve the impossible, it's probably Germany. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not going to get into the history of it, but they're pretty good at forming groups and stuff like that.
Industrious is the word I would use.
Yeah, industrious. I like that. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's absolutely shocking. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, but Germany, we salute you. Keep going.
Yeah, just this one.
Swim.
Yeah.
What else happened in the world? It's got floods.
Can I bring up the gun?
Oh, the Lego gun. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's something that really fucking aggravated me. Because it just highlights America's stupidity. And I'm going to blanket say America's stupidity when it comes to firearms. I know it's not every single American, and I know there's plenty of Americans out there that are quite sensible with firearms and stuff like that. But as a country as a whole, to allow this gun to be created and go on the market and be sold is just fucking stupid.
So
right?
Can you give a bit of background for everybody? Is this a toy gun made from Lego that looks really real, or is it a toy gun made from Lego that is actually real?
It is not a toy gun. It is a real gun. It's based off the Glock 17. It fires the same ammunition, so it's more than capable of killing someone. It's basically a handgun. The only difference between that and a military grade handgun is the fact that this one looks like it's made out of Lego. Brightly coloured. It's got like the little Lego attachments and stuff like that on it. So from what I can see, you can actually add Lego pieces to it if you wanted to. Yeah. And
that is funny. I thought it was a toy, and I suppose this is where the problem comes in.
Absolutely,
I genuinely thought it was just like a kit you could buy, build your own Glock out of Lego. I didn't realise.
It's an actual gun which is made to look like Lego. You point it at someone, you shoot them, their head will explode. Bullets will come out of that gun and they will cause massive trauma to a person.
So is it just like a really good paint job then? Because I've seen what it looks like.
It's molded. It's molded to look like that. So,
oh, for God's sake, what America?
Yeah. Now the only reason that gun can exist is to appeal to children. That's the only people it will appeal to. It'll appeal to gun users because it's quirky and fun, but overridingly, kids will love that gun, right?
Okay, hang on. I've got to cut in here.
Yeah.
Because there is a subspecies of the human race that it would also appeal to. There are people who watch trains for fun. They stand on bridges and they watch trains. Yeah. I work with a grown man who is admittedly a complete and utter fucking moron who loves Lego. He also has the social skills of a fucking slug.
Yeah.
But neither here nor there. There is a subsection of the species that gun would truly appeal to.
Okay, yeah. But I would argue that the amount of those people there are in America are far outweighed by the amount of children who like Lego.
Oh, very completely fair. Every kid loves Lego.
Yeah.
If only for an hour.
Now, you take into account the fact that such a high percentage of home shootings in America are conducted by children who get hold of their parents' firearms. And these are guns that look like guns. You see, as a child, a gun that looks like Lego, you are going to assume it's a toy. It's there to be played with. It looks like Lego. I'm going to go out and shoot someone. Pew, pew. Before you know it, little Johnny across the road is lying there with fucking bullet holes. It is just the most stupid thing that I've ever seen in my life. It's just ridiculous. Incidentally, the same company also has brought out a Hello Kitty gun as well. Similar, but pink with Hello Kitty all over it to appeal to the little girls out there. You know, the boys have got something. Now the girls have as well. There are quite a lot of grown-up girls who also like Hello Kitty. Just to not exclude them, it's like grown-ups who like Pokemon. Let's not shame them, Mushu. But do you need your guns painted like it? Let's shame them. You're grown up. Okay, move on.
Okay. Comment down below if you listen and you're a big Pokemon fan. You have more than my permission. You have, in fact, my consent to call him a cunt.
Yeah,
I am
my
not a
consent
Pokemon
too.
fan, but
I
some
don't
of my
care.
friends love it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. You can
Yeah.
voice your opinion, but at the end of the day, you like Pokemon, so your opinion means very little to me.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
so
You raise a valid point, Mushi. Absolutely raise a valid point. It's
I should
Pokemon.
point out as well at this point as well that Lego have completely denounced this weapon, and have put in a lawsuit, I believe, to get it taken off sale.
But do you know how many were made? Was this like a limited edition for those Lego school shooter losers?
I don't know off the top of my head, no. But I mean, let's bear in mind that Lego do make some dubious moral decisions, and have made some dubious moral decisions in the past.
Elaborate.
They removed all police officers from their Lego sets, all the police Legos officers after the George Floyd murders, not to bring him back into it. Yeah,
yeah, he's had enough airtime.
They didn't want to offend anyone.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, I know. Which, I get it. I get why you might think that that's a good idea, but it's just virtue signaling. It makes no difference whatsoever. Kids don't give a shit. They want to play cops and robbers. They need cops to do that. They don't want to
just robbers and robbers.
Yeah, they don't want to play let's not offend anyone, because that's a boring game.
That is a boring game.
Trust me, I've tried it and it's shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Lego, they've actually turned around and said, this is not what our company's about. We do not endorse this. In fact, we want it taken off sale straight away. So
yeah, I completely get that. I 100% get that from them. But when you talk about like the Hello Kitty ones, it's like having spray jobs on guns. Like, I don't know where you stand, but I like guns. I know you like guns. We like shooting shit. That's the hillbilly in me. I like the look of a normal gun. I like it with the black barrel and the wooden grip. I'm specifically, for the record, talking about a 911 or a 1911. I like the wood grips, the black barrel. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I don't want one painted in an American flag or with Hello Kitty on it, or like, what am I wearing today? A Star Wars. I don't want a Star Wars themed gun.
No.
I like my guns to be boring and traditional. At most, maybe chromed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
At the end of the day, the biggest argument for owning a weapon in America is, I need to defend myself. Right? Buy a gun then. Yeah. What you don't need to do, as soon as you start buying guns for the aesthetic purposes, beyond all that looks nice as a gun, as soon as you start getting them with paint jobs and stuff like that, you're buying them to display. You're buying them as a display piece. You're buying them as something to make yourself look better, that you can show off. And at that point, it's not about home defense. It's about you owning a gun, being a prick. If you're just about home defense, any old gun will do. I personally, I like paint jobs on guns. Don't get me wrong. I do a lot of airsoft. I've seen a lot of like crazy paint jobs on guns, and some of them are fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
But I just don't agree with them being sold, especially not marketed towards children.
Definitely shouldn't be marketed towards children. So there was this TV show. There were two. There was one called American Guns, which was just weird, and then there was another one called Sons with Guns. And then the owner of that turned out that he was a paedophile, so he's in prison now. Standard American story. It's the new American dream, isn't it? Start a business, get a TV show, make a fortune. Turns out you're a paedophile, end up in prison. It's the circle of life. That's how it goes. And it was his daughter who reported him, and she was on the TV show. Anyway, going back to my point, in this show, Sons with Guns, the daughter, who inevitably reported him for being a nonce because he was a nonce, she commissioned a gun aimed at ladies. It was a 9mm. It was sort of like a Derringer, but it had a magazine in it. So a very, very small automatic pistol.
Yeah.
And I think that was painted in pink to aim towards the ladies. Like the receiver was sprayed in pink and coated in it, and it came with like a little leg holster, a bit like a garter belt. Yeah, as you could hold it on that, and there was room for your credit cards in it as well.
Now that you can sort of get around that in the fact that it's just a color. It's it's not aimed specifically at kids. When you start putting kids' characters and stuff like that on it,
Oh
that's a
yeah,
bit
like a
fucked
Batman
up.
gun.
But even that annoys me a bit because, like, I speak to a lot of girls I know, and they kind of get pissed off that everything's pink.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, this is for women, so it's pink. It's like, what about if you like yellow? You know, what about if
That's
you
gender
like?
neutral.
What about if you just like a nice chrome handgun with wood grips, for instance? Um, you know, I don't know. It's a funny old world, and you can't have an opinion on these sort of things without offending someone. But I don't particularly think that pink is necessary to put on all women's stuff now. I mean, I know probably more blokes that like pink than women.
Well, it turns out I like pink, but only because I see it as blue. I tell you about seeing that Porsche the other day. Yeah. And everybody in the car, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice color of blue. And they literally turned around and they're like, that's pink. Ha ha, Dad can't see colors. I'm like, oh, fuck off. You wouldn't have got me if I couldn't walk, I was in a wheelchair, would you? Where's my drink?
I reckon they probably would.
Yeah, probably. I would expect nothing less. Hopefully they won't be offended by words per se when they get older. That's the plan. I am Brew, in case anybody's wondering. We're recording at an earlier time today, so I can't have my obligatory 2 whiskies.
Well, you can.
Got to drive. Don't play those stupid games. Never have a drink and drive.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, I think we fully covered that last night in last night's conversational rant, which we shouldn't get into. But yeah, fuck me, did we both decide we hated that?
Yeah, no, actually, it's a new stance. I'm just putting it out there, even if you don't agree. The Pacifist podcast, we are against those cunts who drink and drive or take drugs and drive.
100%.
Just don't fucking do it, you selfish, murderous cunts.
Yeah, if you drive under any influence of anything, you're a fucking idiot. And we've got no time for you. I'm quite happy to lose subscribers if you're drink drivers.
Yeah, fuck you.
No time for you whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right, I've got Britney Spears has been given the ability to get her own lawyer by a judge in America. Good. That's pretty fucking cool. The fact that she couldn't have her own lawyer is fucking mental, but the fact she's been given the ability to get one is a good thing.
Let's hope this is good things for Britney. I'm fully behind her now.
Same as.
I want, if she's going to make terrible decisions or anything like that, they need to be hers, not someone else's on her behalf. So I really want her to get her full independence, and then if she hits the rail, if she goes off the rails or whatever, fucking good on you. It's your decision.
She's a 40-year-old woman. Yeah, just let her fucking do it. I've got a little blue light in my hand. I keep pressing it. I keep seeing blue light flashes everywhere.
No.
Look, I'll give you an example.
Oh yeah, I do now. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep seeing it, but it's me. I'm just playing with a stupid light that's just on the sofa.
Pink.
Is it really? You're playing with me, aren't you?
Yeah, it's blue.
Okay.
I just wanted to be in on this joke.
Oh, fuck you, Mushu. Yeah, so she's been allowed to get her own lawyer, which is fantastic. And she's also said that she won't be performing while her dad's managing her. And I've got a feeling the residency that she's got in Vegas is a very big paycheck. So I reckon that the lawyers and the managers will be like that. But like, nah, fuck you. She's our star. We are paying for her. We're not paying for you, you hillbilly fuckstick. Get lost. I think basically her going on strike for a residency is going to do her a world of good. And so fuck it, let her. I mean, she's been working.
She's got enough publicity now that she can do so. I can imagine that when nobody knew what was going on, she couldn't make that sort of stand, because I think she's probably genuinely in fear of her life.
Yeah, probably.
Because people have died that have been connected to this whole thing in less than ideal circumstances. Like people speak up in court and suddenly they're in a car accident the next couple of days. There is something moody going on here, and I reckon she probably was terrified, but now she's got enough publicity that if anything happens to her, questions are going to be asked.
Yeah, and people love Britney. I love Britney. I don't really like her music, but like we said last week or the week before, so we grew up with this girl. She's nearly our age. I think she's like exactly halfway between you and I. She's been around forever, and it's always been put out as, she's like the golden girl, not the golden girl. That makes her sound like she's a 90-year-old woman, but she's like a good girl, wasn't she? And it just turns out you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And
all this time she's been a prisoner.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Anyway, free Britney. Free Britney.
Woo.
Yeah, start right. One more? You got time
Why
for
not?
one more?
Yeah, go on
Okay.
then.
It's just a stupid one, but it's a sad one nonetheless. It's off the back of TikTok. Have you heard of the Smithy family?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
Yes.
It's again more cunts. So
Yep.
they if you don't know the Smithy family, they've got a TikTok channel and they make shit videos. If I'm honest, I don't really like any of them. Not that I don't like the people. The people seem like absolutely fine. I've got no opinion on them, but the videos aren't my cup of tea.
Being honest, never seen their videos before. I've only heard about them from the recent events.
Yeah, well, they just do, the sort of stupid shit you do with a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just do that. It goes
Which
up on TikTok.
a lot of people
Some
on
people
TikTok
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they absolutely adore it, and they seem like they're harmless and that they're happy, which is great. And they have been, I assume, it looks like, and I don't want to be come across in the wrong way, but it looks like they live on an estate. I don't know how that could come across the wrong way because that's just where it looks like they live.
It doesn't look like a bad estate, to be fair.
No, it looks all right. Their place is lush. I assume what's happened is that they've packed in their jobs to do TikTok videos because people like watching it. They've made a few quid. They've made their house really nice. People can see it because it features around their house all the time. And the locals who have probably got a beef with either the kids or they're just jealous idiots it started that they started sending takeaways to their house that they didn't order. And then prostitutes. Bear in mind that they've got 2 young daughters and a newborn. I don't know if there's any more. There probably is, but they've got at least 3 children. So they started doing that. And then 2 fucking little shitbag cunts. I've seen the CCTV footage of this.
I've seen this as well.
Set fire to their car, which then set fire to their fucking house while there was a newborn baby and 2 little girls sleeping in bed. Absolutely atrocious.
It winds me up beyond belief because it's the typical, I don't know, these little track. I've already said the phrase already, but I'm going to say it again because it needs to be said. These little tracksuit wearing beta males that think they're all that, but they don't even know how to fight without weapons or anything like that. That's how fucking, I don't know, effeminate they. No, that's rude
not
to women. I'm trying to think of a word that's not going to offend anyone but them. Oh, sorry, babe.
It's okay, babes.
No, but these little fucking rat bags that think it's hard to carry around a knife when in reality it's like, I'm quite happy fighting without a weapon, thank you. I don't even consider myself to be hard. But if you pull a knife out on me, I'm not going to run away. I'm either going to stab you with it or I'm just going to go down punching your face. That's what's going to happen,
Fair enough.
Because I lose instant respect for anyone that needs a weapon to be able to try and look frightening. So they rock up in their sherbet leisure wear and fucking pour petrol through the window, set fire to it. One of them set fire to himself as well on the way out, which fucking brilliant. Well done, mate. Yeah,
good job.
Petrol plus fire equals hot. Yeah, all that spicy air. Stay away from that. But no, he managed to get his hand on fire. I really want them to get caught and I really want them to be punished to the full extent of the law because as far as I'm concerned, that's attempted murder. And like you say, I don't know who these Smithy Smithy family are, but I've seen a few TikToks with him and he seems genuinely gutted about it. And it broke my heart seeing him like that. And fucking best of luck to you, Smithy family. I hope you recover from it and I hope you just keep doing what you're doing and fuck everyone else. And
they seem happy. Their kids seem happy. That is literally all. I mean, they're achieving all the goals, isn't it? They're the most important things, that you're happy and your kids are happy and healthy and safe. And up until that point, that's how it seemed to me. I watched through. Oh, just kicked my camera. Watched through an absolute buttload of their videos in preparation for watching this. And again, not really my cup of tea. But they don't fucking deserve to have their house set fire to by a couple of fucking teenage wankers.
Do you know how many things I see on a daily basis that really fucking boil my piss, that really grind my gears? And do you know what I've never done? Is gone around to their house and set fire to it because I'm not a complete prick.
Well, not even in the middle of the night when everybody's sleeping.
No.
What?
No, not even there. I know. Maybe I'm the weird one here. But I wouldn't even do that to these kids if they got caught. And I found out and I knew where they lived, I wouldn't ever consider going around and setting their house on fire.
Yeah. No,
I'd consider
completely agree
breaking her
with
ankle or something like that, but certainly not that. You know,
yeah,
fucking
and the problem
morons.
is they're fucking kids as well, so
Mm.
nothing's going to happen. It's so where my kid's grandparent lives is a bit of a rough estate, and they had a brand new park that was like locally funded. The church, lots of people. It cost like 30 grand or something. Brand new park put in. It was beautiful. The kids absolutely loved it. Some fucking scallywags went and set fire to it. Anyway, it gets put out, repaired a little bit, and like 2 weeks later, I can't say it's the same fucking douchebag cunts, but
It's gonna be.
was set fire to again, wasn't it? And it's like that took like 2 years of fundraising to get. It's for little kids, and these skanky little teenagers have set fire to it and ruined it again. Honestly, I know kids under 18 don't really get punished properly. I know they can go to Borstal, or they've got youth offenders, and it's it is prison, but it's not prison, is it?
No.
I genuinely think they should be made to go into the fucking army.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly think, I know they used to do that back in the olden days, but prison ain't fucking working. It's not doing anything.
No.
It's not improving them. It's not showing them the errors of their ways. But
Germans,
you make a conscript.
Germans had a good idea with during the war. They had full
No,
regiments.
don't say about the concentration camps. That was not a good idea, Mushu.
Oh.
Those showers were not showers.
Were they not?
There was no cafes. They said there'd be cafes, and there was no cafes.
They had Wi-Fi though, yeah.
Not even no,
that, mate. I wasn't going to say the concentration camps, but they had full regiments made up of German deserters and German prisoners and stuff like that who got given all the shit jobs. Guess what, guys? You're going in the tanks and invading Russia. You're going to be the first wave in. And they'll all be like, oh, I don't really want to do that. It's like, well, here's your reporting officer. He's got orders to shoot you if you do anything other than what he says. Chuck all these little fucking shitbags in the army with someone that's just going to put a bullet in them if they don't do what they're fucking told.
Okay, I'm not sure I can be on board with putting a bullet in them. I'm not necessarily against it, but your argument hasn't swayed me just yet. But everything else, I'm quite on board with.
At least whip the bottom of their feet with bamboo canes.
I'm perfectly okay with that.
Okay,
I'm absolutely fine with that.
Yeah.
We found a line. Yeah, I'm surprisingly okay with that one. But yeah, I don't necessarily think they should be shot. I think if you shoot everybody, you just start undermining people getting shot. They'll be like, oh, Christ. You hear about Vic down the road? He got shot. What did he do? I set fire to some TikToker's car, didn't he? Then they put him in the army, and he said no. So they shot him.
Or put them all in a room and give them one of those Lego guns, because it's only a matter of time before one of them's so low intelligence. Be like, hey guys, look, Lego. Oh, shit, sorry.
A Lego gun with like bits on the end that can hold a cup. So you're like, oh look, I can drink from it.
Yeah, with a little sign on the trigger, pull for juice. Oh,
yeah.
Must fill itself.
Warning can be a bit spicy. Well, anyway, I haven't got any more news.
Well, let's wrap up the news, shall we? That's the news. So let's move on. Let's move on to our subject, shall we? We're talking mysteries. Who wants to go first?
I'm going to go first. I want to just give the world of 40 odd people who listen to this podcast a recap on Ham City FR, which is now renamed 10 Tapes.
Yep. Okay.
So I think where we were up to when we last spoke about it, he'd had 2, maybe 3 tapes come through. He wasn't really answering anything himself. He was following GPS coordinates and finding shit here and there. And then he got some weird shit.
He did reach out to us, which was exciting.
He did, and they've never replied.
He got in touch with us on YouTube, left a comment on one of our videos saying, would we be interested in an interview? We said, yeah, sure, email us, and we never heard from him. I assumed he'd been murdered by otherworldly entities, but apparently not.
Yeah, and I even cut out me calling him a homo. Which I've left in this time because he's still got Freddie Mercury's moustache on his face.
He's still got the same moustache.
Yeah, he has. But it's all good because I do absolutely love his channel. And as I said at the very start of this podcast, I'm not sure if he's one of the world's finest actors or if he's genuinely being fucked with, because he's up to about 54 videos now. I mean, that's very specific to say about. It's around there. It's in the 50s. And the last few were a bit creepy. So he had a letter put on his door and he went chasing after it because he heard it happen, got out of his flat, and he couldn't find the person who put it there. Okay? Don't know how I feel about that, but he couldn't find the person who put it there. Anyway, the letter... he didn't do anything with it for a little while. Then he eventually read it, and it took him to like some sort of page, and he got another letter through, and it was basically a list of instructions: get on this bus at this time, go to this place, keep walking west until you hear bells, then don't trip. There was a trip line literally across this road, and it led him to like an abandoned road. It was running parallel to a motorway, and then there was just a road that clearly wasn't in use anymore. It was covered in spray paint and it was a bit abandoned, and there was a box on top of some rocks. In the box there was just a rock, and it had the 10 tapes logo on it, which is sort of like a cassette tape with a line going through it. Okay. There was the further instructions were you need to be blind for 5 minutes, and then something could be revealed to you or something to that effect. So he's talking to the camera at this point, and he's like, I brought a sleep mask with me to act as a blindfold. I will sit here for 5 minutes and for 5 minutes only, and I will leave this blindfold on. I was like, but if you fuck with me, and he's saying this loud because he appreciates that there's somebody nearby. It's like, if you fuck with me at all, I will be taking this off because I'm getting sick of this now. Anyway, it's there, and it's his 5 minutes of being quiet, and it's sort of like sped up. And I don't know. This is why I'm really conflicted if it's real or not, because he's blindfolded, and this guy manages to pick up his camera, walk it away. He takes it for a nice big long walk. I think he took his laptop. He said, take your laptop. So he might have been recording himself through his laptop and then using his phone as a hotspot, and doing a live broadcast. Anyway, this laptop gets picked up, taken away, and then put in the woods in front of like another clue. And then it cuts to, there's like a bit pops up on the screen saying, I've had to fast forward like 3 or 4 minutes of this because it's nothing. It's just a letter floating around in the wind. And the guy catches up with the laptop, finds it, maybe using Track My Laptop on his phone or something like that, or he just took a walk and found it because it can't have been that difficult. And he looked genuinely shaken up. But imagine if you're sat there for 5 minutes, you've got a blindfold on an abandoned ass road, you've had someone fucking with you for the last 4 months, and then you don't hear anybody, but somebody picks up your laptop, moves it away from you to another creepy ass fucking area where there's another creepy ass. I think there was like a statue with like a scroll put through it. And I think the first one was, the 3 monkeys?
Yeah.
Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I think the first one, I didn't realize it till I saw this one, was the see no evil because of the blindfold. And this next one, there was something in a clue about not hearing, but I didn't write down exactly what the clue said, unfortunately. But I think it was the hear no evil monkey that had the scroll on, but that only went up yesterday. So that I haven't seen any progress on it, but it is creepy, and he does seem to be getting more stressed and anxious and harassed and all of those horrible things that go with it. So as I say, he's either a fucking brilliant actor or someone who's genuinely fucking.
I think I'm at the moment, I'm probably leaning towards it's a TikTok related. It's set up for TikTok views.
Could very well be.
This is where I'm leaning towards at the moment. Just everything, like the fact that he wouldn't get back to us when we agreed to sort of bring him on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The fact that it's all, I don't know. I just think that if it was me, I would have probably caught whoever was doing it. I wouldn't be playing along with the games, so to speak. to be honest, if somebody did that to me, I'd play along for a little while. As soon as it came to like going out onto abandoned roads, right, put a blindfold on, fuck off. I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the problem is he's doing it so publicly that obviously the person who's fucking with him is still watching it, and he knows he's watching it. Occasionally, he'll write, like he'll put text up on the screen saying, "I know you're watching," but he genuinely seemed really worked up and a little bit frazzled at the end of these videos, or this last lot. And yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult because it's been a fascinating story to watch, and I think he's only 3 tapes in. But
either way, it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, and also, if it was a TikTok thing, I assume his videos would be becoming more regularly. If it was genuinely for like TikToking fans, I would assume that it would be like every 2 to 3 days there'd be a new video up, or every day even. But in this case, they're very sporadic.
Yeah. Well, we'll reserve judgment until it sort of pans out a bit. But
yeah, well, I'm going to keep following it. I find it absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I'll probably catch up on it later on, to be fair. Yeah.
There wasn't a review video, otherwise I'd have ripped it, given us
that's all right. Well,
given it to put up on there. It was literally like 15 videos I had to catch up on. Some of them were nothing, and other ones were really quite long. Because he does live feeds as well. But yeah, his sleuths don't seem to have cracked anything just yet. And one of the letters in it was like, you have to black this out. So it was, you know how like military documents when they've had sensitive information
when they're
taken
redacted,
off. Yeah, there was loads of stuff redacted, but I presume that was his personal details and addresses and shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, very interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, that's much better. Right.
Yes.
Okay, so let's forging forever onwards.
Forever. Right, let you go, because you're doing something I don't know anything about, or know so little about. I genuinely am interested. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the Skinwalker Ranch. Is that right?
Skinwalker Ranch, yeah.
Come on then.
Now, hold on to your hats for this, because it's quite a convoluted story. And it's the reason I love this is because you keep forming. The more you hear about it, your opinions change constantly. Until you'll get to the end of the information, and if you're anything like me, you'll be like, I don't know what to think. So, brief history of the Skinwalker Ranch, right? It's an area in Utah, which is in America. Geography. If we go back a couple of 100 years ago, this area was inhabited by the Utes and the Navajos. Okay, 2 Indian tribes who had a patchy history, as any of the tribes did. You know, sometimes they'd fight, sometimes they'd be friends. But it came to a head when I think it was during the Civil War, one of the generals for one of the sides managed to talk the Utes into joining forces with them to drive the Navajos out. Which they did, and as such, on the way out, the Navajos basically cursed the land and cursed it, said, we're gonna inflict you with the Skinwalker. Okay. Now, the Skinwalker in Native American folklore is a creature that can adopt the look of another creature by wearing its skin. Okay, so it could put on a skin of a wolf and it becomes a wolf. It could put on the skin of a bird and it becomes a bird. It can put on the skin of a human, it becomes a human. Okay, but it is none of those things in folklore. It's like an entity. Let's say. So they've basically cursed them and said, you're going to be afflicted by the Skinwalker, blah blah blah. Probably worth noting at this point, to this day, the Ute Indians will not step foot on that land. Okay, it's completely forbidden for them.
Forbidden for them by them, or
it's just one of those things. I guess it's been going on for so long. It's just not where we go. You know, it's like Christians, you know, don't draw blood in churches and stuff like that. It's just like folkloric tradition. It's out of bounds, basically.
Wow. That's like a bad example. Bumming audibles forever, haven't they?
Yeah, but I'm talking in theory here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, not in practice.
Not in practice, no. So, so scoot forward a few, you know, to relatively recent times. 1934, I think, the ranch got taken over by an elderly couple called the Myers.
Okay.
Now, they lived there for a good few years, and there was no reported occurrences of anything happening by them.
Okay.
Okay, that's moderately important to note. I don't know why, but it just seems it is.
Okay.
Then in the 90s, they moved out, or in the 80s.
They bought it in the 30s.
Yeah, and they lived there for quite a considerable amount of time.
Oh, sorry, because you said an elderly couple bought it in the 30s and then moved out in the 90s. Okay, that makes much more sense. Yeah. Nothing weird has happened except we haven't aged a day.
Yeah.
Doris, how are you
years
feeling?
We've been living here, and I'm still 24. Still 90 or whatever. Yeah, no. So they lived there for most of their lives without reporting anything.
Okay.
I say without reporting anything because it's not to say that nothing's happened to them. But they moved out, I think it was late 80s. The property sat vacant for 7 years. And then the Shermans moved in.
Okay.
Right. The Shermans were a typical family. They were cattle ranchers. They've moved into this property straight from the offset. Weird things. Right. So they've got to the property. Upon entering the property for the first time, they've noticed that every door in the property, almost every door in the property, had deadbolts on it. Right.
Okay. That's weird.
Both sides.
That's really weird.
Yeah. Okay. Which that's the sort of thing that myself, I'd be like, that makes me uncomfortable straight away.
Yeah. It is Utah, though.
That's true. Yeah. At either end of the property were giant metal stakes driven into the ground with huge chains on them. Okay. Again, no real explanation for it, why they were there. They just assumed, the Shermans assumed that the Myers had used it to chain up big dogs or something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you attach a guard dog to it, sort of thing.
Yeah, so that's what they've assumed.
Okay.
So, but that aside, they've happily moved into this ranch. As they're unpacking the car, they've noticed a wolf, a very large wolf, right? The reports they've put in state that it was about 3 times the size of a normal wolf.
Like a dire wolf, like Game of Thrones size.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So Mrs. Myers actually, I think in her report, she stated it came up to her shoulders. Okay. And she wasn't a midget or anything. Yeah. So this wolf's come down. It's shown it was on its own, which is moderately strange for a wolf as well. And it also showed unwolfly behavior in the fact that it approached the family. It walked towards them. Normally, wolves are very timid creatures unless they're in packs or whatever. They've got a reputation for being very fierce, but you approach a wolf, chances are it's going to fuck off. It's going to run away. But this wolf approached them, and then as they were looking at it, sort of wondering what the fuck it was doing, it's turned around and grabbed a calf, one of their calves, by its snout, and tried to pull it through the fence, right? So obviously Mr. Sherman is like, fuck. So they've gone up, him and his son have gone up and hit it with an axe handle on the back. Whack. Didn't phase the creature. Okay, this is all according to the reports that they've put in.
Now, you should explain these reports.
Yeah.
You've read them, haven't you?
I've read a lot of the information. I haven't read all of it, but I have read a lot of the information in relation to this. But this is all word of mouth, so by no means am I saying that it's a fact.
Because these reports aren't like police reports then?
No, well, this is what the Shermans have reported to the authorities has happened.
Okay, all right, cool.
It is word of mouth on their part. Okay, so axe handle not done any good. Mr. Sherman's run off, got himself 357 Magnum out of the
of course he has.
The car. Shot the creature in the side. The creature didn't even flinch. The wolf didn't even flinch. Carried on trying to drag the thing out. So he shot it a further few times. Every time, the creature has not flinched. Right? To which point, Mr. Sherman's run off, grabbed his hunting rifle, come out and shot the creature in the head. This dislodged a small amount of fur and skin.
Yeah.
Okay. And at this point, the wolves turned around, looked at them, and then sauntered off. Not run off, just sauntered off. Okay.
Now
the skin was I don't think it was ever officially analysed, but Mr. Sherman said that the skin that came off the creature looked dead, and it smelt like it was rotting.
Oh,
Okay.
lovely.
Yeah. So the wolf's the first thing, the weird thing, right? And at the moment, in my head, when I was hearing this, I was like, "Ooh, this Skinwalker thing sounds like it's shaping up to be something."
Yeah, it's quite creepy.
Yeah. Then over the next few years, I'm going to very briefly encapsulate all of the stuff, because if I go into all of it, it will take forever.
Yeah.
They've witnessed numerous things. Mrs. Sherman, for instance, came home one day, put all her shopping away. She's turned around. When she's turned back, all the shopping was back in the bags on the table. Okay.
So annoying.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a dick move. Whatever this entity is, it's a dick
Yeah.
move. Putting all the, yeah, but things like that, poltergeist activity, things moving around. They heard voices on the edge, like on the edge of the darkness in the ranch, coming from outside. They'd hear people talking, people asking for help, stuff like that, calling out, screaming, all of these sort of things. None of which they could find any reason for. Okay.
Oh.
And bearing in mind they're all ranchers, so they're used to sort of looking for animal tracks, things like that. They're outdoorsy people. They know that what they're doing outside.
Yeah.
Also, cattle mutilations, right?
Ooh.
And this is one of the bits that really gets me. I love this. They've found numerous. I think they lost 20% of their cattle herd to cattle mutilations. Yeah. I mean, on average, an average cattle farmer would lose potentially 1-2% of their herd.
Yeah.
To natural causes. They've lost 20% in their time there, in the years that they were living there.
That's a lot.
And the mutilations were always quite strange in the fact that it was almost surgically done.
Okay.
And there was never any sign of blood or animal tracks.
What kind of mutilations are you talking here, Moosh?
I'll get onto this in a minute, because
Okay.
at the moment we're still talking just what the Shermans have reported. So this is all just the Shermans. So yeah, cattle mutilations, and then lights in the sky as well have been seen, glowing orbs, right? And this is where it started to lose me a bit, because I was like, make your mind up. Is it a poltergeist? Is it an ancient Indian spirit? Aliens? You know, fuck it. What is it? What are you going with here? You know?
Yeah. Make up. Yeah.
But they've said there's these lights in the sky. Numerous times they thought they were headlights on the edge of the ranch. They've gone out to see who was driving up to the ranch. There's no vehicles. There's no vehicle tracks or anything like that. One time they've gone towards these lights, which were in the forest. They've assumed there were poachers pulled up in this forested area.
Yeah.
As they've moved towards the lights have gone straight up.
Ah.
Okay. So yeah, straight up in the sky and disappeared. So you've got that in itself, quite weird, right?
Yeah, very creepy.
So obviously they've reported all of this stuff going on. Incidentally, the lights, they spoke to the neighbors, and one of the neighboring ranches, he said, yeah, I've seen the lights. The orange ones are all right. It's the blue ones you want to be careful of, because the blue ones, they're sentient. They know stuff. They're being controlled. Which is a strange thing to say.
That is creepy. That's so creepy. Could you imagine that? You've just moved into a ranch. You've had to shoot a fucking direwolf on your first day because it's just fucking mooching around.
Yeah.
And then you start seeing weird lights. Yeah, it didn't die after getting shot with a magnum half a dozen times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, yeah, we know about the lights. They're fine. As long as they're not blue. Now, if they're blue, you're fucked.
Yeah, look out for the blue ones. Yeah. Yeah. Now, there was an occasion where the Shermans, they saw some of these blue lights, and they've gone out with their 3 hunting dogs.
Yeah.
And he's a bit of a dick for this, because what he's done is he sent his dogs after the lights, because the dogs were clearly rattled by these orbs.
Yeah.
So he's let them off the leads. Fucking go, sick them. The dogs have run off. After a while, they've run into the forest. After a short while, there's yelping noises, sounds of distress for the animals.
Yeah.
Rather than go and find out whether his dogs were all right, he's gone back to his cabin and decided to wait until the morning to go and look for them, right? When he went out in the morning, all he found was 3 piles of waxy fat.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, what like they've oh.
Yeah. No fire damage to anything, just 3 piles of waxy fat.
That's such a
Completely.
weird description. Was that from the reports?
Yeah, yeah. This is how he described it. Just a
Oh
waxy
dear.
substance, like, yeah. Whether they're the dogs or not, who knows? Who knows? Yeah. So that's the Shermans. Basically, it should be said as well that they've seen the wolf a few more times. It's been sighted walking along ridge lines and stuff like that, but it's never come down. There was also a strange occurrence when they were out one day, and Mr. Sherman said to Mrs. Sherman, "The cows are a real concern. The cows keep getting killed, but if they touch any of our 4 prize bulls, we're fucked as a business. We're fucked."
Yeah.
That day, after having that conversation, they got back to the ranch. All 4 bulls were missing. Okay. And they found them in a trailer, wedged in this trailer. Yeah. Which Mr. Sherman said, getting one of those bulls in that trailer would have been a fucking hard job, because they're proper.
Yeah, they're big boys, aren't they?
Yeah. But all 4 of them were rammed in there. The lock on the outside was still on and rusted, to the point where they had to break it off.
What the
Yeah. Right. So we've got teleporting cows now. They're teleporting bulls.
Clearly.
Okay. Now this is where it gets kind of interesting, because towards the end of their tenancy there, they were quite tenacious. They stayed there for, I think it was a good couple of years.
Okay.
But towards the end of their tenancy there, they got a visit one day from 2 men. One of the men was an intelligence officer for the Navy. One of the men was an intelligence officer for the Air Force.
Okay.
Who came out, took reports off them. What sort of things have you been seeing? What sort of things have happened to you? You know, tell us everything. Then got up and left.
Okay.
And then never heard from these 2 men again. Okay. It's just a detail, whether it's pertinent or not, who knows. Yeah, so that's happened. And then finally they've decided enough's enough. We need to sell up and get out. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets great, because in comes a man called Bobby Bigelow. Right?
What a fucking name.
Yeah. Yeah. So Bobby Bigelow comes in. He's a multimillionaire, business entrepreneur sort of person, blah, blah, blah. He says, I want to buy your ranch. Okay. So they're like, yep, okay, fine. Sell it to him.
Yeah.
He's quite a prominent figure within the National Institute for Discovery Science.
Okay.
Which, for ease of purpose, we'll just call NIDS from now on, because that's what they call themselves.
NIDS.
NIDS, NIDS.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So he buys the ranch, and straight away, or pretty much straight away, he brings it in a team of scientists. So he's obviously got wind of these reports somehow. Yeah. And brings in a scientific team, right? And from here on out, everything is documented by them. Okay.
Ah, awesome.
Yeah, which is why it gets good.
Documentation as well. I like that.
Which includes autopsy reports.
Ooh.
Which includes photos, which includes videos. And these people are not fucking morons that have just been like, let's start a science club. You know, one of them was an admiral, or I think he was an admiral in the American military. You know, they've got intelligence background, they've got scientific background, they're respected people in their fields. And this team of people basically moved onto the ranch from there on out, and they have been documenting what's gone on. And so the autopsy report, this was something that I was reading the other night in preparation for this, I couldn't get the whole thing, but I did find some interesting highlights. Like one of the cows that they autopsied had a section around the eye, and the eye missing of the cow. Yeah. So one of its ears was missing, and a large section of meat by its arse was missing.
Oh, okay.
Well. Okay.
Bit of the rump.
Yeah. Now, cow was dead, obviously. It was found mutilated like this. All the cuts were clinical.
Yeah.
Described as clinical. So very sharp, not consistent with animal bites or animal attacks or anything like that. Again, no tracks around the body, no blood loss. So there wasn't even blood on the body. There was no blood around. You try cutting an animal without it bleeding, at least on itself.
Yeah, it's got to be well dead for that to happen. Like,
Yeah.
well dead.
Yeah, but we're talking, this was discovered like hours. And it should be said, this particular calf was found, I think it was within 100 meters of one of their observation posts, which was manned at the time. Okay.
So no noise then either.
So no noise either reported.
Okay. Very strange, Mishu. Very strange.
They also found a blue substance, like a jelly-like substance, or traces of this blue jelly-like substance, which was very heavy in formaldehyde and other preservative chemicals and stuff like that.
Okay.
And no sign of extreme heat, because
so it wasn't cauterized then.
Your first assumption, if there's no blood, is cauterization of the wounds. No sign of cauterization. Okay, clean cut, no blood, weird blue jelly. All right, that's what we can take from the autopsy report.
Yeah.
From witnessing stuff that they've actually witnessed, they've witnessed all of the orbs, the lights shooting straight up in the sky. There's a report from one of the scientists that said during a walk through the forest surrounding the ranch, he witnessed a floating disc almost, which was face onto him. And through the disc, he swears that for the briefest moment, he could see land, but not the land behind.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Portals.
Yeah. One other thing I should say was when the Shermans moved in originally, the one stipulation when they moved in was that they are not allowed to dig the land. No circumstances, they are not allowed to dig the land. Full stop. Okay. That I should have mentioned that, but so the reports, they've seen this disc, they've seen the lights go up. There's one really creepy interview with them where one of the guys is talking about how they were doing a perimeter walk of the woods, and one of his colleagues has sort of put his hand on his chest saying, "Can you see that ahead?" Mm-hmm. And they've looked ahead and they've seen what looked like a huge man on the, like, it was dark, so they couldn't really make it out, and they've admitted that they couldn't make it out. It could have been a trick of the light or something or whatever.
Yeah.
But it looked like there was a huge man on the tree line. And as they approached him, he walked off, getting larger as he walked away. Right?
That's weird.
Fucks everything off about perspective and stuff like that. But he was physically growing as he walked off into the trees.
Well, the only way I could come up with an answer of that is if there was a light and they were seeing a shadow.
Yeah.
The closer you get, the bigger the shadow would get.
Yep, that could explain it quite happily. Yeah. But they said they've seen him walk amongst the trees, like walk back through the trees and stuff like that.
So fucking weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Other reports have involved hearing huge crashing noises through the forest, like an enormous creature's walking through it. And they've got photos of these orbs. They've got videos of these orbs.
Oh, amazing.
I mean, they're going
to be shit. They're always shit.
They are quite grainy and they are quite shit. Which sort of puts me a little bit on edge, because this is like late 90s, early 2000s here now.
Okay. Well, this always comes back to what we said last time when we did a paranormal activity one, that ghosts and shit like that stopped existing when mobile phone cameras became good.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone with like a modern day Huawei, because they've got the greatest cameras on their phones.
Yeah.
They've got like actually, have you still got a Huawei?
I have, yeah.
And hasn't it got like a times 50 zoom or something on the camera?
The zoom is ridiculous on it. I mean, if I wanted to take a photo, and I have taken photos of things like foxes, like for fucking miles away, and they come out really good. So there's no real excuse to not getting. And this is a scientific team with night vision, with seismic detectors, stuff like that. But
good cameras.
You would assume, yeah. But they are interesting photos, you know, and videos. They do show some interesting sort of stuff, which you do think sort of like, oh, but it's all a bit shaky. So make of that what you will.
Yeah.
Now, under freedom of the information, like a lot of people have been looking into this, it's been discovered that the military were actually granted $22 million to look into UFOs, things like that,
Okay.
and that sort of thing. Well, this was a certain part of the military. I'm not saying that's an overall payment, but the majority of that $22 million got paid in secret to a Mr. Bobby Bigelow.
Oh.
Yeah. Who just so happened to own that land. Yeah. So there's that as well.
Well, that's weird, isn't it? I mean, a clever businessman like Mr. Bobby Bigelow himself would probably be like, yeah, sure, you can come and look at our land. It'll cost you £1 million a month or $1 million a month or something, because they're there for 2 years, and that'd be that. Yeah. Again, that could explain that. But
yeah, so other things they've reported were huge amounts of earth being moved.
I thought, like it had been dug up.
Almost, yeah. More like it had been literally scooped out the ground and plonked a few hundred meters to the right or something like that. Again, no noise. Power lines, cables being cut, stuff like that, no noise.
Like a giant just walking around being like, oh, I'll scoop that up and put it over there, because
kind of like that. But the creepiest thing, and this might go some way to explain why there's a lack of evidence where such a lot's going on, is I listened to an interview with this guy. I can't remember his name, but he was the ex-military officer that was on site there, and he refers to an entity that he calls the trickster. Right.
Okay.
That's the name he's given to it. And he refers to this trickster, and he says, yeah, the trickster's basically, it looks like it's made out of smoke, like thick black smoke. He's like,
okay,
but it's solid, and you can see it's solid, but it moves like it's made out of smoke.
Well, that's so weird.
And it knows everything. It knows where the cameras are. It knows where the power sub relays are. It knows what we're doing. It can react to us, and it has reacted to us. Like, he's seen it in the woods, move towards it, and it's got away from him in such a way that it's avoided every single camera on the way. The ones that it couldn't avoid because they've crossed certain cameras, so one's looking at another, say. The ones that it couldn't avoid, it's cut the lines to before going in front. And he's like, everything suggests that it is fully sentient. It is very, very intelligent, and it knows what we're doing almost before we know. That's what he said.
Oh my God!
Before we know what we're doing. But he calls it the trickster. Yeah. So
is there like a mockumentary about this on anything? Is it?
There's like loads of shit out there. You can there's loads of documentaries on Skinwalker Ranch. All of them will pull up different stuff, but some of these interviews are pretty prevalent throughout a lot of them. So they're not hard to come by. So that's that. Scoot forward to modern day. Very recently, I think it's 2006, 2007, something like that. Bobby Bigelow sold the land, and he withdrew his scientific team, and the land was bought by a company called Adamantium Holdings.
Adamantium,
like Wolverine, like Wolverine, yeah. Who it's owned by to this day. Adamantium Holdings has been proven to be a shell company, a shell corporation. No one knows.
Oh,
it's an unknown unknown owner. But they've bought it, and as soon as they bought it, walls have gone up all around the ranch, big gates have gone up, cameras, barbed wire, you name it. You cannot get to that ranch now. So many paranormal groups have tried to get access to it. All of them have been thwarted.
Wow.
No one will sort of be allowed access to it or anything like that. So that's where it stands at the minute. Now, Americans, being Americans, the nearest town I think is called Boulder or something like that.
Boulder's massive.
It's not Boulder then. No, that's Colorado, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge city.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but it's something beginning with B. And it's basically now a tourist attraction. You go there, everything's all about skinwalkers. You know, they've done exactly what Roswell's like with aliens. So if you turn up there now, it's pretty it's a tourist attraction, but you still can't get in the actual ranch itself.
You see, that's weird. It must have been bought by the military. If a total shell company like that, if a load of money had been donated to that Bobby, whatever his name was, not Dazzler, I presume Bigelow. That's just Bigelow. That's it, Bobby Bigelow. I presume that the American military have a shell company that they've actually bought it for.
I would say potentially so. Yeah.
Just for research purposes. Interesting though, because I'd never heard of this. Never heard of it at all.
But it's a massive thing, and nothing about it really makes sense. No, you know, if you look at the facts around it, the facts are all very strange. You know, like the literal facts, like the finances from it and all of that sort of thing. And there's theories galore out there. Like some people are throwing out that there's definitely a skinwalker. The big wolf proves that. Does it? What about the lights?
Yeah, it doesn't prove a lot, does it? Look, I'm just going to quickly run and grab a drink, because I've just run out and it's so hot. You don't have to pause it because I can always cut it, but I'll be 2 secs.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mushu Show. It's got a nice ring to it, that. Right.
I finished mine while you were talking, and all the way through, I was just like, oh, I desperately want another drink. I was like, but I also desperately didn't want to stop your flow because that was super interesting.
Yeah.
So sorry, I have gone and got one. That's mega interesting, but no, I've not heard of it. But I feel like I've seen the something on Netflix about it, or Amazon Prime, or something like that.
Probably. I mean, it's one of those things. It's the thing that's made this Navajo legend interesting, and it is good. And like, I'm really not sure what to make of it all. Like, I've looked into it quite a lot now. I've watched a lot of documentaries. I've read some of the stuff firsthand. I've seen some of the stuff firsthand, and I honestly don't know what to think about it. There's two main theories that I quite like the thought of.
Okay.
Or I sort of can throw my weight behind. One of which is that it is literally tourism. They've created from the ground up an Area 51 type area. And that's that. There's nothing going on. Because this Bigelow guy, he's right up there with Elon Musk and people like that in terms of how he's interested in aliens. He's
okay,
and all of this. He's got the same amounts of money. He's just a very, very private person. He doesn't do interviews. He doesn't like being in the limelight or anything like that. So he's another one of these super rich sort of like alien type people, and he's got everything he needs to be able to buy something and make it into a sort of urban legend, if you know what I mean.
Okay, and yeah, that kind of makes sense actually, particularly if it's been bought by a private company, which has a little bit of mysteriousness, good word, added to the background of it. And you stick a big wall around it, and then even if you need to make it look like something's happening, you can just flash a light here, there, and everywhere, can't you?
Yeah, effectively.
Not difficult. Expensive to put a big wall around a whole ranch, though. I don't know how big the ranch is. Do you have any idea? Is there any scale? How many acres?
I can probably find out. I think I've got the schematics up on my phone here. 512 acres.
Oh, it's a good size then.
Yeah, it's a fairly moderate size.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you think about what it's done for the economy of the town, the local town, you know, that sort of money, especially if he's got ties to it, which I'm not. Ballard, that's the town.
Okay.
Ballard. Yeah, so that's one idea. Another idea is that the military were doing something there. Potentially, it's been banded around that there's an underground facility there, hence why you're not allowed to dig. And that whatever the military were doing there, potentially experiments of some sort, has now been either abandoned or given up on or disowned or whatever, and the military are doing everything they can to keep it contained.
So a little bit of a Stranger Things kind of thing going on there.
Exactly along those lines. Yeah.
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 Ah, okay. Interesting.
But my
Again,
favorite.
Oh,
sorry,
another one. No. Again, it's just so interesting because I know nothing about this one, and I don't believe in any of this shit, but I do find it fascinating.
Well,
But it's the little things like the doors having deadbolts on both sides of the door.
Yeah,
they're the weird ones.
Yeah, and the unnecessary details, like the person getting bigger as they've walked away.
Yeah,
that's an unnecessary thing that's unbelievable, if you know what I mean.
Sorry, the Alexa has just gone off in the kitchen. I'm the only one in here, and we're talking about creepy, weird shit. I assume you can't hear that through my headset.
I can hear something, yeah.
Alexa has just decided to just fucking go off. It's saying about not being connected to the internet, but that is fucking weird.
It's the American military, mate. They're listening in now.
Oh, undoubtedly they are.
They want to know what you're up to. Yeah, my favorite
stupid
theory,
English people. Yeah, carry on.
Is that this is a sort of like a transit hub for intergalactic travel.
Oh yeah, with the portal with the windows and
and that there is not just one thing visiting these. There's numerous creatures visiting.
I like that.
Some of them are in orb form, some of them are this big smoky trickster, some of them are shape-shifting creatures that can morph into the natural habitat, such as wolves and stuff like that. This is my favorite, and weirdly, after watching this, I was scrolling through the Tickety Talk, and there was a girl on there, completely unrelated, but she was a British girl, and she was saying, I was sitting on a bench the other day and some lads come and sat next to me and sort of asked if he minds if I sat there, and I was like, no. And she's like, and he started talking to me about how he's a soldier and that he does a lot of traveling in his jobs. And I was like, okay, what sort of places do you travel to? And this is where it gets weird. And she was like, and he started going on about he travels from worlds to worlds, just visiting different planets, and observing them and taking scientific notes and stuff like that. And she was like, okay, this guy's clearly got a fucking screw loose.
Yeah.
And the parting statement before he got up and left was, this is probably one of my least favorite planets. You're all just made of flesh and bone and you break easy. And then got up and left, right? But that completely unrelated TikTok, just in my head, that settled in, and I was like, that falls in perfectly with this whole thing. Like, what if we are already being sort of like just monitored? We're a tourist destination, we're a hunting ground, whatever, you know. And this is the place where, for some reason, for whatever reason, it's the easiest for them to travel to.
Wow,
stuff like that.
Interesting, very interesting.
I love that theory.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I mean, it's from TikTok, so I believe it about zero.
Well, the theory itself is not from TikTok. The theory's been around for quite a while, because obviously,
clearly, because of the family from back in the 1930s, he never aged.
Yeah, but that's it. That's Skinwalker Ranch, mate, and that's
okay. Questions specifically for you. Would you buy a place like that if the price was right?
Absolutely.
What would the price need to be? Would it be super cheap, or if you had a fuckload of money and it came up for sale for a fuckload of money, would you buy it just for the interesting aspect?
If for instance someone approached me and said, look, Skinwalker Ranch is available for sale, we want to sell it to you, but it will cost everything you have,
you would have it.
I would have it. I would go out there.
Okay, well, because it seemed nobody got injured, did they? 3 dogs got turned into.
There were injuries occurred. The Shermans on their last day, the thing that actually made them move out was they all had a scoop, is the easiest way to say it, taken out of their thumb.
You what?
It's like scoop? Like a circular. You know, like if you scoop ice cream.
Yeah.
It was a wound like that, about 1/8 of an inch deep, and each of them had that while they slept. They woke up, the sheets were covered in blood, and it was like somebody had sampled them, basically. And that's the pivotal thing that made them move out. So injuries were occurred. Obviously, the dogs were destroyed. A lot of cows
They
were
got
killed.
ramboed, didn't they?
Yeah, but there's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no occurrences of humans dying.
Okay.
But this does
Wow.
kind of fit in with the 411 theories as well, the missing 411.
Now I was going to say, does it link in at all with the 411? Because that's all the help me. Whereabouts is that? It's somewhere really famous. I can't remember
Not
where.
normally national parks all across
Yes.
America. England, we've had cases in England.
Okay. America and national parks are a blessed thing.
Yeah, normally rural things, but one of the things that they've got in common is that there's never any noise or anything like that suggests abductions, and it always happens fairly close to people. Like, and a lot of the kids that have gone missing in the missing 411s have it's abduction is obviously a natural assumption you would go to, but it always gets ruled out because there are adults within hearing distance, and all it would have taken, they would have heard a scuffle or something like that, but it's literally like 20 feet behind the kid is. They turn around, the kid's gone, no noise or anything like that. Again,
that's so fucking creepy. I'd hate that.
And it fits in with the Skinwalker thing. No noise, no signs of struggle, no blood, nothing like that. Injuries are very clean and stuff like that.
Piece of ice just went in my mouth.
Chew it.
Oh, I've melted it. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, so it's it's a very, very strange one. I mean,
yeah, I don't know what to make of it, Mushi, because it was a full kettle of fish. I mean, Stephen King, he's a prolific writer. He often links the Native American peoples and aliens together. It's been in a good few of his books, actually. I know he's a fiction writer, but he also does his research. I mean, so clearly folklore and stuff is that.
Well, if you look through a lot of Native American, like ancient Aztec, a lot of the old tribal sort of religions, in their religious places, I think it's been documented numerous times. There's images in their sort of carvings which depict a similar sort of thing of one of their gods sitting within an encapsulated thing with what could be oxygen or tanks of some kind with tubes going in.
We covered this in the paranormal one because I spent hours trying to find the photos. There wasn't there someone with a handbag. Like I feel like a handbag was a part of it.
Maybe,
but yeah,
the theory is that
all of that.
They've been here for a lot longer than we have, and we're being monitored for whatever reason. You know, make of it what you will. But
I don't know. But if I see that docu, because I swear I've seen the adverts for it. If I see it online anywhere, I will be watching it because that's a fascinating subject, Mushu.
There's a shit ton of it on YouTube and stuff like that.
I can't go down another rabbit hole on YouTube. I go down too many.
Yeah, you can.
I'm like permanent. No, too much down the rabbit hole shit, and it messes me up. Yeah. I start thinking the world is being ruled by a cabal, and like JFK isn't dead. Yeah, it's bad. I did that for the conspiracy show, and yes, that was interesting to say the least. But yeah, I don't know what to make of it. Mushi, that's fascinating. Thank you for filling me in on that.
I'd strongly advise looking into it, mate, because it's just so. But if I had the chance to go out there, mate, I definitely would. Worst case scenario, I die. Best case scenario, I get a ranch out of it.
True, and every other scenario, you get a holiday to Utah.
Yeah.
You buy yourself a cowboy hat, keep the sun off your head.
Hell yeah.
Hell to the yeah-yeahs. Yeah. What I was going to talk about was glorious Mel's Hole.
Introduce us. Who is Mel?
Mel is all right. I've got stuff written down here because I give a brief overview. But Mel Waters, okay. He did an interview on the 21st of February 1997. He did subsequent radio interviews.
Mel's a man.
Mel is a man.
Now his hole's just got a lot less interesting for me.
Yes, I assumed this was why you always smirked, because you were like, Mel's hole. So he bought a ranch in Ellensburg, Washington. That's the Pacific Northwest, so the top right-hand corner of America for
Okay.
all you geography buffs out there. Anyway, he, I think we're along like with the Indian thing, not like Tandoori Indian, but like the kind.
Native American.
Thank you, mate. It's so hot. I mean, I've just literally, I've just necked a can and half a bottle of water, and I still feel thirsty. Yeah, so they've been called. He found basically a massive fucking hole on his land, 9 feet wide, which is pretty fucking big. That's like the size of a decent sized lounge.
Yeah, that's like 1.5 views, isn't it?
It's a little bit less than 1.5 meters, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, it's me and you on top of one another. Vertically, okay, not horizontally. Right. Yeah, so he finds this 9 foot wide hole that you can see about 15 feet down into, and then it's just black. Locals have been chucking rubbish in it forever, and it's not like a sinkhole where, you know, it's just like a big dip that goes down and it just sort of sucks stuff down. It's genuinely a fucking hole. Now,
yeah, because I'd heard of it and I thought it was a sinkhole, but it's not.
It's not a sinkhole. It's just a hole. Just a big fuck off great hole. Anyway, so his neighbours have all been using it for trash. Always wondered why it didn't go up. And there's been reports that people would throw their dead animals into it, and then occasionally said dead animals would then reappear alive, like in the movie Pet Sematary. Yes, which again, Mr. King, taking from folklore and doing research, a lot of this sounds very Pet Sematary-esque.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Not like that fucking weird movie that came out, which admittedly the new one sounds exactly like the Skinwalker Ranch thing, as opposed to the original one, which was just terrifying. So there's reports that animals that were dead would be thrown in, they would come back to life. I mean, there's no actual evidence behind any of this. Anyway, so Mel Waters apparently doesn't exist anymore. There's no record of him ever existing. There are record of things that he has done over the course of his life, but that name doesn't exist anywhere in Ellensburg, Washington anymore.
So are you saying that if I were to go to the local registry office for his area and look for birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates, none of that would be there?
None of that would be there. This isn't the first time that's happened, though. I can dismiss that because of what happened with who's that? Oh, piss! Always fucking forget his name. It will come to me in about 5 minutes' time, and I'll just blurt it out. You know the area, not Area 51, but the other area. There was like a big expose on it a little while ago.
No.
Some guy. Oh fuck's sake! I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, all of his details got expunged from everything. But then you can speak to him, from university. But there were a few things they missed, stuff you can't get, like a hoarder who has a phone book.
Yeah.
Oh God, I can hear the word in my head.
Neighborhood accounts and stuff like that.
His classmates at university could tell you. Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar, yeah. So he got expunged from living in the town, wherever Area 51 or Unit 6 or whatever it is. All of it was gone, but there are phone books that have B. Lazar at the address that still exist. And his university friends, even though his degrees have been expunged, was like, nah, he was in my class. I sat next to him.
Yeah, I remember him.
So shit being deleted, I can believe. Anyway, so Mel Waters, he owned this property in the 90s, has a massive great hole in it, and he went, I want to say shark fishing, deep sea fishing. Anyway, he's trying to find how deep this hole is, and apparently, this is what I read online, so it's definitely true. But it seems crazy, 80,000 foot of fishing line.
That is a lot of fishing line.
That is a lot of fishing line, considering the deepest hole ever bored into the earth I believe, was 40,000 feet, and the Russians did it.
Yeah.
And apparently at that length, depth, everything goes squiffy. It obviously the pressure's immense, the heat's immense. Apparently, dirt, earth, soil, rocks, they don't behave like they do up here on the surface. They behave more like Play-Doh, I guess. Something they behave very strangely at that depth.
Yeah.
But it said that he lowered 80,000 feet of fishing line into this hole, and it still didn't hit the bottom.
Right. Okay.
Are you Googling to double check?
I've just Googled the Kola super deep borehole is the one you're thinking of in Russia.
40,000 feet, yeah?
40,230 foot.
Okay, well, I wasn't going to... I didn't want to be pedantic.
I'm very impressed with... yeah.
Research, mate. Well, you know, I said I'd look into it for you. Anyway. Yeah, yeah, you've got to love that. Yeah, so at that depth, everything gets fucked up and it gets crazy hot. You've probably got it there in front of you. Like fucking crazy hot. Anyway, he lowers it down and brings it back up. Nothing. Didn't even reach the bottom. And this is fishing line. So even if it's shark fishing line, which is probably about as thick as this wire, it's still only plastic and you could burn it with a lighter.
Yeah.
No damage at all. Anyway.
I mean,
he thought he was losing his mind, so he went for tests. This is all off of the back of his Mel Waters, Mel's whole off visit. He thought he was losing his mind, so he goes for tests. Turns out he's absolutely fine. Just to clear that matter up from this made-up person who doesn't exist anymore. Anyway,
as insane, yeah,
sane, sane. I mean, what is sane though? You can't find this anymore. This land was sort of semi-seized by the government from him, so he says, and he was paid an exuberant amount of money every single year for them to have it. I don't think he would give it to them. I think he kind of leased it to them. And this is the only bit of his story that you can find in print, is that he said he went over to Australia to work with, I think it was like duck-billed platypuses or some shit like that, and set up a sanctuary. The money that he got from the government funded him being able to do that. And there are newspaper articles of him being in Australia with at the exact same time setting up a duck-billed platypus thing. So that's literally the only thing in print that you can see of this guy confirming that he's actually
Sorry,
real.
Do we have a timeline here? Is he still likely to be alive out there if he was, or?
He was still doing interviews in 2002. What has happened to Mel since? I have no fucking idea.
Okay,
I didn't actually look into him so much. I was more looking into the hole, because who doesn't love to look into Mel's hole?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So weird shit that goes on around this hole. One, animals won't approach it. If you try and drag a dog towards it, it will dig its heels in and try and pull the other way.
Okay.
Birds won't even fly over it, apparently. So locals around it, they knew about it. Again, they were using it as their trash can for a long time. But birds don't even fly over it. Mel apparently approached it with a walkie-talkie, and stuff started coming out of it. Not normal stuff, but like old broadcasts. Like the number machines that you hear. Number stations, not number stations, but you know how they've got that kind of crackly 1950s feel about them.
Yeah.
That sort of shit started coming out of his radio. It's just fucking weird. Yeah. What they, in typical American fashion, they decided to do some science, and they lowered a dead sheep. Was it dead? I think they lowered a live sheep into it. I can't remember how deep they lowered it. But they brought it back out, and it was apparently cooked inside out, like it had been microwaved.
Right.
Okay. Now I couldn't find when I was. I've heard more about this off of the ever so reliable YouTube and TikTok, but I couldn't find it written down anywhere to corroborate.
Yeah.
To corroborate what I'm about to say next. I mean, and I know the stuff that I've just said isn't fact, but it's written down which makes it more plausible in my opinion.
Yeah.
They said when they did an autopsy on that sheep that there was a little kind of green man lizard type thing in there. This was before the government seized it. Not like a little green man, but like basically an alien that spoke to them. That's the problem. I couldn't find what it supposedly said.
Right.
But it was along the lines of, I haven't said about the ice yet, have I? I should have done this in like some sort of chronological time order as opposed to just putting it in there. But apparently, because it was so deep, they lowered a bucket of ice, because that's actually, I think, quite a good experiment. If you're going to find out how deep a hole is, if you lower ice down, obviously it gets really fucking hot. It gets cold, and then it gets hotter and hotter and hotter the further down you get.
Yeah.
So if you lower a bucket of ice down, it should come back up as water. It didn't. It came back up as solid ice that was emanating heat. Okay?
Yeah.
Like hot ice. I briefly mentioned this to you last time. Apparently, one of the people there on that experiment took some of this ice and they put it in a furnace in their cabin and used that to keep their cabin warm forever. And eventually it burned down. And then a load of military trucks came and took it all away. Couldn't find it written down anywhere. Could only find YouTube and TikTok videos on that. And I didn't take detailed notes. Anyway, this little, I'm going to call it a little green man. If it was green, I can't tell you. If it was a man, I can't tell you. But that's what I'm fucking calling it. This little green man tells Mel that the flaming ice is a gift given to all societies that are at that, that like, or to use like Star Wars trades, pre-warp phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the ones that they're becoming a little bit more enlightened, they're on their way. And this hot ice has been given to them countless times as an incredible power source, and every single time it's been gifted, it's been used for negative purposes, like to wage war. No sign of said ice has ever appeared anywhere at all. Yeah, it honestly, the shit linked to this fucking hole are crazy. But to shit all over it, which is what I like to do, are geologist reports.
Yeah.
You can't have a hole that goes straight down into the ground 80,000 feet.
No.
It's not physically fucking possible. Things will just naturally crumble in on themselves. The pressure, the forces that come from taking out that bit of dirt make more space for the ever-moving tectonic plates that we have, and the fact that we have a molten core and we're always moving would just literally close in on itself. So, I mean, the whole thing has been poo-pooed to the max. There is no logical scientific explanation for it, but there are weird things associated with it. Another thing that I can't give the specific details of it because I don't have them written down and I couldn't find them, but this Mel used to make these leather belt and belt buckles out of old coins. He'd put like old nickels onto like the big old cowboy style belt buckles. Yeah, like the rodeo ones, if you wish. On those, he would make these set belt buckles. And he said at one point he was kidnapped by, I think he'd come back from Australia and came back to America and he was going to go and see his hole again. And he got off the plane and woke up like 2 days later in a totally different town with all of his stuff apart from his belt buckle. And obviously he'd sold a bunch of these belt buckles. And at some point he'd bumped into somebody and he was like, "Oh my God, you're wearing one of my belt buckles." And he's like, "Oh yeah, but I remember you. I bought it from you ages ago." And he's like, "Oh yeah." It's like, "Can I have a look at it?" And apparently the nickel or dime on it never existed. He found all of these at his little ranchy place with the hole. He found a bunch of these old coins and he turned them into belt buckles and sold them to make money. And they were like, I don't know, they had a president on. I don't know American presidents. So it's really difficult for me to say. They had a president on that either wasn't ever a president or was a president after the date that it'd been minted. So it'd be like having a dime with 1988 on it that had Barack Obama's face on it, for instance.
Yeah.
So like these non-existent dimes or nickels that he'd turned into belt buckles. And yeah, that was the only thing that he had on him when he had been abducted, that had been taken away was his belt and his belt buckle. But then he had seen somebody else conveniently in a world of 7 billion people that owned one of the belts he'd made.
Yeah.
There's just so many little bits and bobs associated with this. What else was there? There was apparently there's like a linking hole in, I want to say, Alaska, which I don't like. Every time I hear that, I'm just like, well, that's got to be bollocks. I mean, if this here is where Mel's hole is, and Alaska is here, it makes no sense. If his hole is here and round on this side, I'm tapping the exact same spot, indicating the other side of the world. Yeah. If there was a matching hole on that side of the earth, it would be
more feasible.
Feasible is an interesting word, but I would find it I would find it way more believable. I'd be like, oh, like a hole all the way through the center of the earth. That's amazing. But the fact that it's like 500 miles up that way, it's not like they can fucking link. But yeah, they're just loads of weird things, and I just think it's a really fucking cool little story.
No, agreed. I think the danger with these sort of things, and the same with the Skinwalker Ranch, is that the moment the lunatics sort of get hold of the stories, they start becoming more and more convoluted.
Yes,
and it's very similar to Skinwalker in terms of it starts off fairly believable. There's a fucking great big deep hole.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm fully behind that. Yeah. They load a fishing line down it, came back up, nothing. Okay, I'm kind of on board with that as well. Yeah. Then they load a sheep down. It came up microwave from the inside out with a little green man in it. Like, you're losing me. You're losing me.
Lost me on that one. I should have started with the ice bucket, shouldn't I?
But there's certain things like the fishing line alone.
Yeah.
The practicality of it is that 80,000 feet. Did you say a fishing line?
Well, that's what it says. But I can't imagine how big a fucking roll of 80,000 feet worth of fucking fishing line is. I'm not a professional fisherman, within respect that I haven't been fishing for maybe a decade.
Yeah.
I don't know how long 80,000 feet is. Is it a coil this big? If so, okay, I can get on board with that. Is it a coil this big? I can't get on board with that. I physically, I mean, how many hours would it take you to reel that up?
And the weight of it.
Completely agree. You haven't got water.
Yeah.
But if you can hold it here, if you could hold it in your arms.
Yeah, potentially.
Then you can hold it, just dropping down, because he puts a weight on the end to drop it down. But 80,000 feet.
Would you be able to get 80,000 feet of line?
Yeah.
And just find the end of it.
Yeah.
And would that line be strong enough to support that 80,000 feet?
Very specifically, it did say he was a shark fisherman, so I presume it's very thick and has a very high tensile strength. I'm just going to Google fishing line. All right, hang on.
But then what sort of weight as well? Because like that sort of depth, as you pointed out, that you've got pressure as well. Mm-hmm. And this is pressure that's so incredible that it forms diamonds, out of coal, out of carbon.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hang on, I'm just having a quick look. Right, how long is that? Extra strong fishing line. No, that's like 700 meters. It's bullshit, mate. Okay, can you see my phone there? That's a normal roll. That's less than 1,000 meters. So it'd be 80 of them into one big coil.
80,000.
Yeah, completely bullshit. I mean, unless it was a typo and it meant to say 8,000 and not 80,000. 8,000 is way more believable. However, everything that I was reading online about it goes into the fact that the deepest borehole is the 40,000 feet one, and that was in Russia. And America have only drilled like 23,000 feet or something like that, and that was crazy as well. The heat down there was just absolutely astronomical. So 80,000 got to be bullshit. I hadn't ever looked to see how big a fishing reel is.
The problem is with all of this sort of stuff, and I don't know if it's an actual sort of, it must be a one of these. It must be an effect named after some sort of Russian scientist or something. But
Mm.
the more unbelievable something is, the more I tend to believe it.
Okay.
Purely because if you're making something up, you try and make it so other people will believe it. There's no point in me saying to you, like, I've just got a cat, and my cat is fluorescent yellow. And
Have you just got a cat though, Mushu?
I might have stolen a cat. Let's move on. Let's move on from my cat rustling. But
sorry.
yeah, if I was to say to you, oh, Sam, guess what? I've just got a cat. It's fluorescent yellow, and it makes a noise like. Yeah,
I want to see that.
You'd be bollocks. You'd be like, of course you haven't.
Yeah.
If I wanted you to believe it, I'd be like, I've just got a cat. It's black and white, and it goes, meow. You know, because you'd be like, oh, that fits with what I'm. So the more
sounds
unbelievable
like
something gets, in my head, I'm like, why would you say that? If you wanted someone to believe it, why would you come out with that? Because it just sounds like bollocks.
You have a really valid point, actually, like an incredibly valid point. If you're going to try and, because I have a real bad habit, if I particularly don't like somebody and they bullshit at me, actually, even if I like them, if they just try and bullshit to me and expect me to accept it, I will call them out on it. I remember this absolute douchebag that I worked with. It was my very first interaction with him, and now it makes perfect sense why he doesn't like me. He told me he rowed in a rowboat, not a rowboat, a canoe, around the Isle of Wight in an hour, and I was just there having a fag. This is actually young 23-year-old me, and I'm like, bullshit. Never spoken to him before, wasn't even part of the conversation. They all turned around. I was like, fuck off, did you row around the Isle of Wight in an hour? What are you rowing at? 60 miles an hour? Come on, mate. It's just like, maybe around the Needles. I was like, not around the whole fucking island. And again, it makes perfect sense why he doesn't like me. But yeah, you are right that if you saw something crazy, it's like Jesus. If you were like, I died, they put me in a cave and I came back alive 3 days later, I turned water into wine, I walked on water, I separated the seas of Nazareth, or whatever the fucking things were there. If you said any of that, you wouldn't believe it. But if it happened, I mean, what would you do if that happened to you? I feel like that I'd tell a couple of people, they'd call me a dick, and then I'd just sit on it forever.
Yeah, I mean, if something, because I've thought about this before, because I love scary buildings and shit like that. I love going scary places, and I've often thought, like, if I saw a ghost, for instance, right in front of me, it'd come out, it's like, woo, I would be very dubious about telling people because they'd just think I was bullshitting.
Oh, I think you know me well enough. I would tell you on here straight away because apparently I don't have
Andy, you're full of shit. Yeah.
No, but if I saw one, I'd be like, Richie, I saw a fucking ghost, I believe. Or I saw something I couldn't explain. But to
go to the lengths of coming out with all of this stuff and ridiculous claims, and then having your information redacted and withdrawn and moving countries. From what you've told me there, having looked nothing into this and not read anything about it, not seen anything about it, I'm inclined to believe that there's something suspicious about this hole.
Good old Mel's Hole. It's a compelling story. It's not hugely believable, but it's there's a lot of weird little details. That I left out, unfortunately, because I didn't get them. But
if I were to go there today,
you wouldn't find it. No one's found it. It's meant to be in Ellensburg in Washington, but since this is 1990, what was it? 1997. He gave his first interview talking about it.
Right.
There is a picture of this Mel guy by a hole. I've seen it a bunch of times. I don't know if it's technically him. I think maybe Mel is a pseudonym as opposed to his real name. But you can't find said hole. Apparently,
even with Google Earth or anything like that.
No. I mean, you're welcome to try if you want to look over every square inch. I mean, it's only a 9-foot wide hole. That's going to
Edinburgh
take.
can't be that hard. It can't be that big.
Well, it's a project for you for the week, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, and so
I want to get off and have a look.
Hypothetical: you buy a plot of land. It's got a hole in it that you can't see the bottom for. You drop 80,000 foot worth of fishing line down the hole and reel it back up with your massive, strong arms. Where do you go from there?
Right. Realistically, I would be going to. I would be writing around universities, geological institutes, stuff like that, saying, "Look, can you come out and do a seismic, or like radar, sonar, whatever? We've got so much technology nowadays to be able to investigate these sort of things." And I would ask for a geological survey. You can request geological surveys. Get someone out there that knows what they're doing. Say, yeah, basically, I've got this hole. I think it's bottomless. Can you have a look into it?
I wouldn't take that step where you did. The paranoid aspect of me would do some experiments myself. I would get them all filmed. I would get them all put in duplicate copies. I'd have little hard drives sent to a few very trusted people to keep hold of. And that way, when two douchebags in the future are doing a podcast and talking about it, they can actually find some documented evidence, even if it's just me with my phone saying, right, so here we are at Sam's hole. Yes, it's dark, it's big, and it's deep. But what else does it do? I mean, I would film at least a couple of those things before I started writing off to
I guess
geologists and scientists.
There's plenty of things, especially these days, that you could do. Like you could lower a phone down there or a camera down there.
I watched
live
off the back of this. I watched somebody lower a GoPro into a random pipe, just a random ass pipe that was just in the middle of the woods. My fucking God, it seemed deep. It like really freaking deep. They put a torch onto a GoPro, sellotaped them all together, stuck it onto the end of a piece of string.
80,000 foot fishing line.
I don't know if it was 80,000 foot, but it went down this pipe into this enormous, absolutely enormous underground cave.
Yeah.
It was just weird.
Oh. Where have you gone?
Cancel. Some weird shit. There you go. I'm back.
Yeah, you are.
It said it cannot verify a Hotmail address.
Who
the fuck has Hotmail? I haven't had Hotmail since like 2002.
I've got Hotmail.
You've got Hotmail?
Yeah.
Is that your fault?
No, I use it as a spam account.
Oh, now it's somehow. I mean, that makes literally no sense. And I've got AppleKit. AppleKit doesn't get infected with stuff. That's weird. Neither here nor there. I am. Fuck knows what that was. But yeah, so that's all I've really got about Mel's Hole, because it's frightfully difficult to find any actual facts on it, because
which kind of makes it more intriguing.
Well, it certainly makes it a mystery, which was the name of the game for this one.
Yeah, I think the overriding thing from this is, if you want to gather interest in your mystery, either try and remove all trace of it, because the internet just will not let things fucking die.
Oh, God, they won't. No.
Or stick a big old wall around it and say no one's allowed in here.
Yeah, that does tend to work, doesn't it? Adds a certain air of mystery.
Mate, it's fucking easy money. If I wanted to make, I don't know why I'm not doing it now. If I wanted to make money, all I should do is buy a plot of land, put massive fences up over it, warning, do not enter, danger of death, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then start a rumor. Oh, yeah, that field's got a spaceship crashed in it. And then I make money from people turning up and not being able to get into my field.
Well, yeah, absolutely. All you need to do is have a really expensive car park and loads of clamps. And you just sit, and every time someone pulls up, you just say, you've got to pay your parking, we clamp them, or it's a £90 release fee. And then you just need a couple of avid shotgun shooters walking around your land. So every time a drone comes over, they just shoot it out.
Boom. Yeah.
It's just real good camouflage. They blow it up out of the air. So that way it's, it's gone for good. It's like, do you remember when Heathrow was shut down because there was a drone over?
Yeah.
Okay, I was talking to a squatty friend of mine. This really bugged me. And he was saying how they couldn't shoot it out of the air because of the way a bullet carries. And I was like, well, that's bollocks. Why don't you just use a fucking shotgun? It's just pellets.
Yeah.
After, 200 yards, those pellets, their velocity is so little, it's not really going to do any damage. You shoot it up in the air, they're going to come back down. Yeah, I mean, someone might get peppered with a little bit of lead. But it's like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. I was like, well, what were you thinking of using? A fucking 50 cal? Just to shoot a little fucking drone out of the air.
Not surface to air missiles.
Yeah, just to take care of a little drone from someone's fucking YouTube channel because they just wanted to see the planes.
Yeah,
I was just, I thought it was absolutely crazy. But yeah, you are right, Bushy. You own the car park and you put a big wall around something and say you can't come in. Particularly if you provide tea and coffee facilities.
Well, I was going to say, I might even buy an ice cream van. Really start raking it in.
Highest profitable machine probably ever made was the old ice cream machines.
Oh God, yeah.
The return on them is astronomical, absolutely astronomical. It's like, did you watch that TV show Clarkson's Farm?
No, I haven't seen any of it yet.
It's fucking great, mate. It's absolutely great. Although I can't drive past country fields anymore without examining how their tram lines look. Since watching that, I'm just like, very good, symmetrical. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's running in line with the outside. Oh, I like it very much. He set up a little farm shop on his farm. Honestly, it was a great show, mate. Absolutely brilliant.
This is the Diddley Squat one, isn't it?
This is the Diddley Squat Farm. Yeah. It's been ram-packed ever since the show came on. People are just going up there. It's not even stocked with stuff from his farm. I mean, it's got some stuff from his farm, but it's just stuff from the local area, which is great. And it's highlighted the plight of farmers because he worked for an entire year, and after costs, I think he made like 150 quid because the year was so brutal with weather.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing show it was. I've never seen Clarkson like it. I absolutely loved it. There was none of that contrived bullshit that you get from their like adventures.
Yeah.
You know how they used to feel natural, and then it started to feel more scripted, and a lot of the funny went away. But the real funny bits are when they're all acting naturally. And in Clarkson's Farm, it starts off, I think the first 20 minutes of the first episode has that kind of feel about it. It's got like, I assume it's the same Amazon producers. And then they introduce this young lad called Caleb, who's worked on the farm before, who is so naturally funny. It's a game changer. That he says one line in the first episode when they can't go out farming, he suggests greasing up, and it's like a farm term for greasing up stuff. And Clarkson's just like, huh? And doubles over with laughter. The cameraman laughs so much you can see him sway. It's from that point that the show just becomes something else altogether. Yes, it's about farming, which isn't the most interesting thing in the world, but obviously Clarkson's not a farmer. And then you've got Caleb, who is a farmer, just giving him shit the whole time. Every time he does something stupid, he calls him out on it. It's brilliant. I thoroughly recommend it to anybody who hasn't seen it. Yeah. I've watched it 4 times, Mushu.
Fuck no.
I haven't watched a TV show 4 times in ages, but it's the perfect background noise. It's like 9 episodes. It's absolutely hilarious in places. It's interesting in places as well. And again, you get an inside of this TV star that I've been watching for like 15 years. Never really had a problem with Jeremy Clarkson. I quite like him. I think he's quite funny. Political views I couldn't give a shit about. But as a character, I didn't really know anything about him. And then watching this, I was just like, this is the most real thing I've ever seen him do. It was brilliant. I don't know why I'm talking about Clarkson's Farm. Sorry, I went off on one.
That's fine. I mean, I want to check that out now as well.
Oh, you should. It's thoroughly enjoyable. Really, really good. Yeah, you got any other mysteries that you want to bring up, or should we think about closing this down?
I think we should probably wrap it up. I think we've been yabbering on for quite a while now, haven't we?
Where we normally film at a totally different time, I don't know how long we've been going.
No, neither do I.
I literally haven't got a fucking clue. This could be either normal or really long.
I've got in my head about 2.5 hours.
Oh fuck! Really?
I
let's wrap this up.
Yeah, I don't have an internal clock or anything. It's just literally what I've got in my head.
I don't have a clock with numbers on. I fucking hate it. My old clock got left at the fucking caravan, didn't it? And I loved that thing. It was when you just find the perfect clock.
Yeah.
It was for me the perfect clock, and it got left there. And I also left some solar lights that I was really very fond of as well on my fence. I was not happy. Yes, fucking girl, stupid pikeys. Yeah, selling me house underneath me, you little bastards. Anyway, let's wrap this up, Mushi, and we will be back next week to talk about something else altogether.
Yeah, in the meantime, do like, subscribe, everything like that, follow, show us some love.
Yeah, definitely.
Show us some love and we'll show you some love.